Welcome to get to know the speakers of Digital Confex. Today we have with us Ashutosh Bhatawadekar, CIO Advisory Engagement Director at TCS. He will be joining as a speaker on the topic Why Digital Transformation Failed during the 4th IT Confex happening in New Delhi on 22nd August. So hi Ashutosh, welcome to the chat show.
Thanks, Ayush, for inviting me, and it's a pleasure to be here and interacting with you.
Yeah, it's our pleasure to have you, Ashutosh, in our conference again this time. So, can you give us a brief introduction of yourself and your field of expertise for our audience?
Sure. And first of all, thanks for inviting me as a speaker for the conference. It's always a pleasure to interact, learn, and also exchange ideas with fellow professionals. Now, for me, I have around 25 plus years of experience in the digital transformation space, working predominantly with a diverse set of domains, be it hospitality, I would say, or semiconductors, telecom. That's the range of diversity I'm coming here with. Movie industry, in fact, that was a very interesting assignment. I had banking and financial services and telecom. So these are some of the areas where I have worked and have been involved in helping organizations realize their digital ambition. And I always say this, right, that every experience, every domain is a good learning and a uniqueness by itself. So yes, I have worked with leaders, I have worked with the middle management, also at the ground level, and that's the diversity I bring in across the hierarchy of the organization. So yes, that's in a brief nutshell about me and the experience I bring to the table.
I think it's great knowing you and your different field of experts who have worked. I think our audience will look forward to have talk with you during networking breaks. So moving forward, I have a few questions for today. My first question is, why do so many digital transformation engagement fail despite there being a strong executive sponsorship and large budgets?
Okay, well, that's a very interesting question, Ayush. So I have seen this phenomenon that when the leader says, no, I want to do a digital transformation, they say that you can take how much of budget you want. I will give it to you. I will approve the budget and make sure that this is a success. The one thing which happens in this is that money is not the input for a successful digital transformation, though it is one of the vital input, but it is not the only input which is there. There are multiple dimensions which go into a digital transformation. Is the organization, first of all, ready to go ahead with digital transformation? Many times we see that the organization itself is not ready to go in for a full-fledged digital transformation. So I believe that's one of the checks which we need to apply. Secondly, the culture and the people around it, right? People are so used to a way of working that they don't want to come out of their comfort zone. They don't want to leave a habit, even though however inefficient the habit might be. So that's the other dimension of, I would say, reasons why digital transformation fails. Third would be the technology. I mean, just because my competitor is having a particular set of technology, I might be in the same industry, I might be in the same domain, doesn't mean that that same lift and shift is going to work here. So many times we see that just because my nearest competitor has gone in for X particular tech stack or a X particular cloud environment, I try to replicate it, it miserably fails. The reason being that my use cases are vastly different from their use cases, though we are in the same domain. And then the way our processes have been engineered, right? We try to do a lift and shift again from the processes standpoint. We see that that also miserably fails because what works in one particular ecosystem does not necessarily work in another ecosystem. So I always call it as the PPT reason, right? Not a PowerPoint presentation or PPT, but people, process, and technology. I think those are the three critical levers. And just to tell you something very, very interesting, and this data is coming from multiple sources. I will not call them as a failure, but nearly 70 to 75% of digital transformation actually are challenged. And by challenge, I mean either they are delayed or the process map is not effective or their employees are not happy with the way the digital transformation has happened. And the customers themselves are not also happy at the end of the day. And as a result, the organization has to reinvest effort, time, and money into this exercise. So I believe these are some of the fundamental reasons why digital transformations fail.
I think you summarize it very well in PPT, People, Process, and Technology. I loved your take on this. So my next question is Is digital transformation primarily a technology-driven initiative?
That's a very interesting question, and that's a myth which many senior leaders also in the industry have. As I said, right, I have the budget, you bring the technology, and we both will come together and we'll solve the world hunger. No, that's not how it works, right? I mean, yes, technology again is a crucial backbone, I would say, for any digital transformation to succeed. But again, it's not just the technology; it's the people, it's the mindset, I would say, the cultural mindset of digital transformation. And as I said, it is at both the sides. It is also at the side of the organization which is embarking digital transformation. It is also the customers who are going to use the product, because ultimately they are the ones who are going to give a go ahead for a success or a failure of a digital transformation. I remember a very interesting case. I won't name the organization here, but one of the banks of which I was a retail customer, one fine morning, they suddenly had their interface completely changed. It was just a web interface. The functionality remained same, like what we do in India, right? I want to do an NEFT, I want to transfer money to maybe you say, or I want to withdraw, I want to do some kind of a transaction on my website. And for 5 minutes, I was little confused. Where should I go? Because the way they had changed the interface was a bit of a. I mean, they had made it more clumsy. At least that is how it looked to me at that point in time. Luckily, I was saved by a command there. There was a short URL on that website which says continue using the old site,
The old
and I
one,
went
yeah.
there and that old site till I got comfortable with the new website.
Good.
So I think these things do matter a lot, right? I mean, it's not just about technology, it's the way you design your web page, the UI, UX, how people react to it. People are sensitive to even a small thing like a font or a color we see, right? So I believe it's not just the technology, but user perceptions, some user inputs, how customers will react, and the trust factor. I think one of the important element of digital transformation is trust between the organization which is doing digital transformation and me as a consumer, right? I mean, we always believe, right? A manual way, I know at least I know who Ayush is because I'm going to meet you in a bank there, right? And second time when I go, I'm going to tell that I spoke with Ayush so and so on that day. So now, if Ayush is on leave, at least someone will have that transaction with them. But here in a digital world, we are behind screens, right? And we really do not know whether that trust factor would be enabled or not. So I believe these are some of the challenges, I would say. It's not just a technology problem. It's not that you digitize the record, you make it available in a database, the problem is going to solve. I think those human elements, those interactive elements also have to be, I would say, transformed from a manual system to a digital system.
I think you gave very good example and I think great perspective from your side on this. So last question for today. With Gen AI and emerging technologies accelerating change, are organizations repeating the same transformation mistakes just faster?
Well, that's again a very interesting question because yes, I mean, one I would say adage which my manager told me when I started my career. He told me that if you want to survive in IT industry, you can make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We all learn from mistakes, but never repeat the same mistake again. Okay, that's a very interesting take he told me. I mean, you should always create some new mistakes so that people know that you have learned something from the old mistake. Now with Gen AI, the situation has become a little bit complex because there are a lot of other elements around Gen AI, like security, trust, as I told you, right? We all know that Gen AI systems do tend to hallucinate, right? Many times the the output which they give you may not be 100% accurate. And nowadays we see that disclaimers also coming in chat GPT or Google Gemini that even we are prone to make mistakes. I would say Gen AI is a double-edged sword. Take it with a pinch of salt. Yes, whatever it is telling, we should definitely have a look at it. But the due diligence has still to be done by a digital transformation leader. Yes, Gen AI might recommend some path. Gen AI, well, ultimately, Gen AI is going to pick up data from the digital transformations of which it has in its database, right? So definitely, there is a strong possibility of it committing the same mistake. But I think we as leaders here have to be very, very cautious because we know what kind of mistakes can go into a transformation. If Gen AI is taking us towards that path, we should have those frequent communication, interaction, and I would say strong reporting mechanisms in place so that we don't end up going into the same path. But yes, I would say that One advantage of Gen AI is that even if it is giving a wrong direction, we know it faster. So we can recover from it at a much faster rate. So that is an opportunity I see from a Gen AI perspective.
I think our audience will love to hear more about this during your session. So I have also prepared some rapid fire answers. So my first question is one word to describe the future of your industry.
Exciting.
Exciting. So coffee, tea, or late night brainstorming? Which one?
Okay, my vote always goes to coffee. I'm a big
Okay.
coffee lover.
Okay. So last question, what skill do professionals need to master in the next 12 months?
I would say Gen AI for sure, but now it might sound a little cliche, but Gen AI for sure. But I would say communication and interaction. I think that is something which is going to hold the fort
Okay.
even in this Gen AI world. So that
Okay.
continues as my skill, which every professional should monitor, should master.
Okay, so thanks. It was great connecting with you, Ashutosh, and I am thrilled with your excitement to join our conference. So, any words for our participants who will be joining in the conference?
Okay, so I think one question which participants always have is that what do I gain from conferences? Because obviously they're investing time, and I always say time is more precious than money. Money you can earn, but time you cannot earn. I think one good thing about this event, I saw the speakers, they are from very diverse industries. One Another interesting thing is we also have representatives from the government sector where a lot of policy making today is happening on digital transformation and AI. And plus you will get to know what where the industry is moving, where AI is moving, where exactly it is going to land us all, right? So I think it's a good investment of time. As I said, for me time is more precious than money at any point in time. Good opportunity to network and interact, and as I said, right, I mean, if you want to network with me, I'm available for coffee. I always, as I said, coffee is always my first preference. So good coffee time conversations. Last year I was there. I believe me, I learned a lot inside the auditorium as well as outside in the coffee chats. Right? And of course, an opportunity to get yourself photographed with, I would say, celebrities, and when I say celebrities, technocrat celebrities, and also to network with fellow professionals during lunch, coffee, and tea time, right? So I think those are some of the critical advantages which are there. And I believe the icing on the cake is award. So you do get motivated when people in your industry get award. You also feel that next year I should be here in this
Yeah.
position. So I think that's the dessert part of the entire package, that entire day package which I've told you.
Great, good to know, and thanks for your time today. And to all the participants, don't miss this session happening on 4th IT Confex on 22nd August in New Delhi. Get a great chance to connect with them in person. See you soon, Ashutosh.
Thanks, Ayush, for the
Thanks.
opportunity.